Okay, today we're going to look at geometric proofs, and we're going to use a phrase called the corresponding parts of congruent triangles to help prove that all the parts of our congruent triangles are congruent. And basically, all that this says is that if I've got two congruent triangles, then I know that every part's congruent. So even though if we can say that our triangles are congruent because of the side theorem, that also means that the angles are congruent, and that's because of this CPCTC. Okay. Now, as an abbreviation, we're going to use that the corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. We're going to use the abbreviation CPCTC as one of our reasons. Okay. Now, whenever we do a two-column proof, our two columns are our statement column and our reason column. In our statement column, we're going to put everything that we know about the picture. Okay, so for example, we know that given our picture here, we know that angle A is congruent to angle B, segment AM is congruent to side BM, and angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 because they're vertical angles. So those are going to be our statements. For our reasons, I'll go through the reasons as we get there, but some of them, if it's given to us in the problem, we'll say that it's given. If we know that angles are congruent because they're vertical angles, that's going to be our reason, is that they're vertical angles. Okay, all right, so let's start looking at what we're going to do for our proof. So first thing we're going to do is list everything that we've been given in the problem. So I know that angle A is congruent to angle M I'm sorry, not angle M. Angle A is congruent to angle B. Okay, I know that they're congruent because it was given to me in the problem. So I can say that they're congruent because it's given. Okay. Now for my next step, I also know that I have sides that are congruent. So I can say that side AM is congruent to side MB. And it's the same type of a reason. I also know that that's given because I also know that those are congruent because it was given. Okay. Now, the other thing that I can look at is I can say that, and we talked about it, we know that angle 1 is congruent, and I don't really have a congruent, so let me just add a little space in there. Is congruent to angle 2. And let me go and put my symbol in there real quick. So that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 because, and this time it wasn't given to us. We were able to reason that through because they're vertical angles. Okay, so that reason is because they're vertical angles. So using those congruence conjectures that we learned yesterday, I know that these two triangles are congruent because of the angle side angle theorem. So I can say that, and I'll use my triangle symbol here in a second. So I can say that triangle AMD is congruent, and I'll use the symbols after I type these things in. I can say the triangle AMD. Now I need to make sure I put my corresponding congruent parts together. So I said A first, so I need to put B second. That had M, so M, and then finally angle C. Okay, so let me go ahead and put my symbols in here. So it's a triangle, so I'm going to put triangle AMD is congruent to triangle BMC. Okay, I know that they're congruent because of that angle side angle congruence conjecture. And then finally, if those two triangles are congruent, that lets us know that AD is equal to BC. And the reason that we know that is because if the triangles are congruent, that means all the corresponding parts are congruent. So they're congruent because that's CPCTC. Okay, and that's a two-column proof. All right, let's look at a couple other examples. And watch what you need on these. I'm going to do 2 examples. If you're good with just the first one, then you can move on. But I will have this second one on there in case you would like to watch it. All right, so in the following figure, we want to prove that segment AE is congruent to segment BD. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to list all of everything that we're given in our picture. And before I start doing that, I want to go ahead and use a couple different colors to outline the triangles that we're going to be looking at. So I've got this triangle here that I'll do in red, and a lot of times I think it's easier to maybe to highlight or to just draw them separately. And the other triangle that we're going to look at is this triangle right here. Okay, we're concerned with those two triangles mainly because they've got that AE and BD as sides. Because there's a lot of triangles in there, but those are the two main ones that we're going to need. Okay. So first thing I always want to state are all my givens. So in my picture, I know that angle D is congruent to angle E. Okay, and let me go and put my symbols in there. So I know that my angle D is congruent to angle E, and we know that because it was given in our problem. Our second step, we want to list the other angle that we know. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. I can't just say angle A because there's multiple angle A's in there. So I need to go ahead and list and be very specific. So I'm going to say angle EAB, let me give some space for my symbols, is congruent to angle DBA. Okay. And let me get my symbols in there. So that angle is congruent to that angle. And again, it was in the picture. We didn't have to know anything. It was just in the picture there. So we can say that our reason is given. Now, our third step is we have to have something else to give us a congruence conjecture. So if I look, I need to know something about these two triangles that I can say that they're congruent. Well, in this one, I have two sides that are the same on both triangles. So I can say that side AB is congruent to side AB. Okay, so let me get my congruent symbol in there. And it's a segment, so I'll go ahead and put my bars over it. Okay, I know that those two are congruent because, and you could put something like they're the same side or that it's a shared side. Something like that will be just fine for your reason. Well, now I know that those two are congruent. Well, they're congruent, so I can say that those two triangles, and I know that they're congruent because they're either one of two conjectures, and we'll briefly talk about which one. I've got two angles and a side, so it's either angle side angle or angle angle side. And from that sandwich shop activity, we know that they're both congruent, so we know the triangles are congruent. But we need to list the right reason. Well, the side is not included. It's not in between the two angles that we know, so this one is congruent because of that angle side angle. I'm sorry, because of angle angle side. I apologize for that. So we'll go ahead and list the triangles that are congruent. So it'd be triangle ADB is congruent to triangle. So I said A, so I need to go B, D, A. I'm sorry, BEA. I apologize for that. BEA. Okay, because angle A is this smaller one here is congruent to this one right here. D and E are congruent. And then finally, this big angle A is congruent to that big angle B. Okay, so let me draw in my symbols and we'll go ahead and finish our conjecture. And we know that they're congruent because we said it was the angle angle side congruence conjecture. And finally, I can say that AE is equal to BD because of that CPCTC. Okay, and that's it. Those are geometric proofs. Thanks for watching, and if you got any questions, just send me a message on Edmodo.